Hey everyone, welcome back to this creature series. Um, from last time, we were working on getting all the structures and stuff blocked in and some kind of major detail stuff. So today in this video, what I'm going to cover is doing this piece of armor back here. These little kind of like indentations on his thigh or whatever that is, and then the ears. So kind of leaning a little bit more towards the hard surface stuff, because that seems to be what a lot of people have questions for. And if there's enough time, I'm going to do these toenails as well. So let's head over to Zbrush. All right, so here is our little guy. I'm just going to rearrange my reference real quick. Alrighty. So this is where he's at right now. So some detail, just still kind of blocking it in and working on it. Um, but I'm not going to get too crazy with this creature anyways, since it's just a demo creature. So first things first, let's go ahead and knock out the back armor. So let's look at him from the back. So typically what I do when I'm doing armor or something similar is I will extract it off of whatever it's supposed to be covering, and then edit it from there. So the extraction process is really easy. Just using a mask, and I'm just going to go in. First thing I want to do is subdivide this. If you're trying to do something and your mask, looks like this, it's like very chunky. You just need more resolution in your object, whether that's Dynamesh or just adding some subdivisions. Um, it's always a good idea to do that. All right, so if I'm looking at this creature, I mean, a lot of this is kind of hidden, so I'm just gonna go for it. So it looks like it just kind of drapes this way and then goes a little bit straight and then has this little divot and then goes down along his butt like so. Now I'm just going to go in here and just fix the mask, and that should be just fine. And I can see that I've got some mask in the front, so I just want to make sure I get rid of that. So to solo this, get rid of this piece right here. And just for the heck of it, I'm going to put a couple, just going to make some kind of indentations or lines in here just to give it a little bit more interest. Maybe something like that. This is what's great about working with mask, is that you can kind of just design this how you want. So maybe just go up like this and then put another one there and maybe one here. And that should work for us. So Control Alt, click, and it just sharpens our mask like so. And then I will go ahead and go up here to extract. It's in our subtool menu, and I'm going to turn off double and turn this thickness down just a little bit and hit extract. And you can see that it didn't go off the surface very much, so I'm just going to add a little bit more back to the thickness. Hit extract, and you'll see when I click here, it goes back and brings the extraction back. So it's just a way for you to kind of like to be able to test it. Extract, and I think that'll work for us. And then I'm just going to hit accept, and then we get this lovely piece of geometry. I am going to get rid of that front piece. So now we get this. But this isn't it, right? If we look at our polyframes, we've got nice groups, so we just need to polish this up. So we're going to go down here to our deformation and do a polish by groups, and just do that a few times. You can also hit repeat to actives, which I'm just going to do. Just all I'm doing is just smoothing out the lumps in these surfaces or in these corners. So I'm just going to keep polishing this. And without those groups, I would be destroying the geometry. But with those groups, it actually works really nice. And I think that's actually pretty good. So if I wanted to turn off solo and see how it looks on his back. On judging from the reference, this kind of sticks off of his back a little bit. So what I'm going to do is Dynamesh this, maybe a little bit more resolution. That'll work. And then I'm going to use the pinch brush, and I'm just going to pinch these edges in. And then re-Dynamesh. So see, just with that one little pinch brush, now we get a much more organic looking surface. And then all I have to do is just move it up and off his back, or its back. Um, that looks to be about right. If I wanted to get a little bit nicer of a deformation off the back, I could just switch to my move brush and then just start kind of lifting this off in a more kind of designed, deliberate way. So I'm just going to lift this off its back, like so. And then now I can kind of control how far off the character this thing is going. And we'll just stick it into his neck up here. Bring that down. And I think that's pretty good. Another thing I'm going to do is just move this a little bit further out because it looks like it kind of comes over his haunches. So I'm just going to kind of go like this. This is a really flexible way of doing this. So if I have to, I can always just go back to the mask. But I think this is going to work for us. Yep, that looks good. And I'm just going to bring this down just a little bit. And then for the back, I'm going to kind of kick it up in a curve. So let's just pull it up like so. Give it a little bit of style back there. And that works for me. All right, so we've got that piece in. So we've got these little kind of spiky bits that come off of this thing. It's not really clear, but I think it's probably a good idea, a good way to talk about insert meshes. So if I go to brush and then just hit I, you're going to see get a bunch of these insert mesh brushes. And it's lots of really cool stuff. It's very helpful. I think there used to be a dragon on here. The tune. Yeah, those aren't very good. Let's see. Type in. Yeah, there used to be a dragon. Let's see if there's some other ones here. We could even use primitives. We don't have to get too fancy with this. Gun. And curve. The curve brushes operate off curves, not just inserting rather. That's body parts. This boolean might have what we need. There we go. These are pretty cool. So we'll just grab something spiky. Yeah, let's just keep looking. We got time. Just find something better. Individual parts. Yeah, these may actually, there might be something. Yeah, there we go. Let's try one of these. Oh, is that it? Good grief. Okay, that's not going to be it. Gears, Spaceship might have something for us. There we go. Let's just grab these. So the insert mesh brush, you want to definitely open up your brush options here, and we're gonna mess with this depth and modifiers, I believe. Yep. So I'm just gonna kind of put these where I think they might go. So click and drag, and you get spikes. Um, the size of your cursor, kind of, you can move these back and forth. If you hold down Control, you'll get a consistent size, which is what we want. We want these kind of to all be the same. So now I'm just going to go in and just draw these in. Control, Control, Control. If you hit Control and Spacebar, I can move this around if I want. So we'll go to there. That works. And then we'll just put a pattern kind of right down the center here. And I'm just going to judge these by eye, because I want them to kind of descend in order here. Put one down there. Great. Looks a little bit kind of Bowser-esque, but that totally is fine. So now if we clear our mask and we look at our polyframes, you can see we have different polygroups. So if I Control click this polygroup, this one, and all I'm doing is just basically hiding the shell. Then we get these. Just dynamic solo and make sure we don't have anything that's not supposed to be there. Hit Control W, so now it's its own polygroup. And if we want to, we can go ahead and split these off. Do a group split. Oop, cancel that. What I want to do is make sure this is all one polygroup. There we go. And now we can do a group split. So I turn off my dynamic. Now these little specky bits are now on their own. And we can subdivide. Oop. Sorry, I had the wrong window up there. Just had to do a little edit. Now if we want to, we can subdivide those spikes. Very simple, easy, and quick to do. This could be done down here on our on the torso. So we have those little kind of bits. So we could do like something. Oh, got multiple subdivisions. Delete lower. Whoops. And delete higher. All right. So what we could do is insert here, but instead of doing that, we're going to use alphas because I want to show you how to make an alpha. So to do that, we're going to have to change our document size because we want this to be a square, because alphas have to be square. So let's go ahead and save this. And I'm going to go up to document, and I'm just going to write these values down. So you can see we have a width of 1219, and we have a height of 826. That'll be important later. So if I go to document and we say, let's go ahead and just pick a square. So we'll do 2048 by 2048. And we'll hit resize. And it's going to say, do you want to resize it? I'm going to say yes. And you're going to see this and flip out and go, what's going on? Not to worry. So we're just going to drag this out. So you can see we still got our character here. If I draw this out and hit edit, we just change the document size. So no biggie at all. It doesn't affect our model whatsoever. So next thing I'm going to do is just go up here to my subtool palette and grab a plane. And now if you just hit F, it'll square up perfectly. You can see we've got a plane here. We'll make it a polymesh 3D. And now I'll probably have to flip it around. There we go. Hit F. And turn the polyframe on and off. That's fine. Now we need some resolution, so we're just going to divide this up. And you'll see that you get these little corners up here. We don't want that, so I'm going to undo this. And the first thing we're going to do is divide it 3 times without smooth on. Hit smooth and divide it a few more times. And then just draw a mask and see what the mask looks like. That works for us. I'm going to turn on symmetry. And let's see, I think the Y should, yeah, the Y will work. Turn this off. So now that we basically have a sculpting plane here. So what we can do is just go to brush, and we can just use a standard brush with just a normal alpha and dots, and we're just gonna, oops, gotta do that, do that for our mask. Actually, you know, we're just gonna sculpt this. So 1 second, I'm gonna grab my drawing pad. I don't know if I've said this before, but if I haven't, you definitely need to do this with a drawing tablet of some sort. Doesn't need to be a Cintiq or anything, but it should be a drawing tablet. All right, so I'm just looking at my reference. I am not really being careful with this at all. This is actually a little bit probably too much resolution. So I'm just going to go down to 3, delete lower, delete higher, and then smooth this back out. That works for us. This is the intensity on this thing is really high. There we go. This is better. So I don't have to be super careful or super worried about topology or anything with this. This is just when we export it, it'll just be an image. So I'm just kind of going to make this weird warty thing that's on his side. I'm not going to spend a ton of time because this is just about the technique. So your highest point will kind of show white, your lowest will be black. So we want to dig into this center point a little bit. Like so, and then there's like this dot here. And now with damn standard brush, I'm just gonna bring these ridges up so they're a little bit sharper. Do one around here. And then kind of dig in around this spot right here. And then with a little bit of smooth, not too much, I'm just going to smooth this outer edge. You don't want to go past the border. That'll cause all kinds of problems for you. All right, perfect. You know what? Let's go ahead and just dig, or put a little spike right there. Great. So now we can go over to our alpha palette and hit grab dock. And now you'll see we have an alpha. So we'll go ahead and change our document size back 1219 by 826. Resize, yes. Control N. And I'm just going to go back to my creature, drag him back out. Oh, what's going on here? Grab my creature, drag him back out here. So now I'm going to make sure I've got his torso selected, and I'm going to go down and just subdivide and then test my alpha. So I'm just going to make I'm just going to go back to my standard brush, and then I'm going to swap in my new alpha, which is this one right here. I'm going to make this a drag rectangle because I want to drag the alpha out, and we can see it's right there. So my Z intensity is really low, so let's drag that back up to, like, we'll just say 100, and then drag out. And we get this little spot. It looks like it's the resolution of the mesh is still kind of low, so let's try it one more time. There we go. Now, other things we can kind of do with this alpha um, is like this part right here is it's sticking out way too much. It looks weird. So what we can do is go back to our modify over here, and there's all kinds of settings. So we can add a little noise. You can see now it's starting to add kind of like a bark texture to it. Turn that back off. Let's take the intensity and pull it to a negative. That should, ooh, that's not what I wanted. Let's try reducing contrast. Maybe even more. Yeah, that looks weird. All right, so what do we do now that I've got this? So let's see if I can lower the density. Maybe might help it. Ah, there we go. So we can reverse it and make it kind of stick in. But I'm spending too much time on this, so I'm just going to lower the intensity down and then drag these out. Like so. And then another thing I usually like to do with something like this is just make sure that just smooth a little bit to make sure they're not all the same intensity. And then what we can do is we can even use those as a guide. So let's go back to our damn standard brush. Then if I want to, I can pull the intensity down and just use this as a sculpting guide. This is a technique that a lot of people use in production where they'll kind of lay in with alphas and then go back and sculpt through it. Which that's actually kind of more of how the original looked like. Then I can just smooth this area around it. Like so. And then we've got that little detail. And it's on both sides. So alphas are real quick, easy ways to add detail like that. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about real quick was his ears. So if we look at this concept art, the ear kind of has this back part and then this overlapping area. So this structure is really kind of difficult to do in ZBrush. You could do it, it just takes a lot of time. So typically what I'll do is I'll block it in ZBrush the way I've got here. This was just using mask and then extracting. Same thing that I had showed you before. But for this, I'm going to go to ZBrush or to Maya. So if I hit Go Z, it's going to go through a bunch of stuff. And then we're going to need to go back to Maya, which is somewhere down here. And you can see it gave me this in Maya. So now what I can do is just right click, existing material, Lambert, and then with the typical quad draw tools, I'm going to go in and just retopologize this. And then once I'm done with it, I just send it back to ZBrush. Super easy. If you guys haven't used quad draw before, you make a live selection, hit quad draw, and then you just go in and plot points. I do this for a lot of hard surface stuff that I don't use ZModeler for. Um, a lot of times it's just laziness because I haven't uh, done too much retopology using um, the tools in ZBrush besides ZRemesher, and ZRemesher is not targeted enough for what I want to do here. And I'll just push this out to here. And this is really quick and fast. Like so. If you ever find you can't get an angle with this, sometimes it just doesn't like the angle that you're looking at, especially with single-sided geometry. So just something to be aware of. And I'm just looking to make squares here, like so. And that works for me. I'm going to grab my other geo back here and just delete it for now. And I get this. So judging from the concept, you can say like these faces here. Oops. Just going to extrude those out. Pull them out to there. And then what I'm going to do next is go to my target weld, turn it to target, and then what I'm going to do is just weld these verts. This is the attachment point onto the body. This is where it'll attach. And then we get this spot here, which we are going to extract with an offset. If for some reason this offset is too sensitive, just click this little pi thing here, and it'll make it much more controllable for you. So pull the thickness back. Actually, we want 0 thickness. We just want an offset here. So we get this offset like so. Just say to about there. And then I just hit extrude again. Whoops. And I'm going to pull that offset in like so. That looks good enough to me. And then now I'm going to grab this outside edge and just extrude this with a little bit of an offset. And it's a little wonky back here, so I can just move these verts up. This is just to get this geometry to kind of seamlessly go with the skin of the body. And then I should be able to target weld these guys back down because we don't really want a lip right there. And then if we wanted to, we could continue this edge loop, but we don't have to spend a bunch of time on this. Should just subdivide relatively well, which it does. It's good enough. I just wanted to show you guys the ZBrush or the Go Z. What happened back there? There we go. Let's try that again. There we go. So this is a little bit kind of off. It's too thick, basically, right here. So what I can do is just grab all these points and just push it back in. And we'll get that. Great. Now all I have to do is find my Go Z up here and send it back. And there it is. So all I have to do is go back here and then append that in. Hide those. I get this ear. And then I can just mirror this back. Modify topology, mirror and weld. And that's how you use GoZ. So that's going to wrap it up for the creature stuff. Really, other than these techniques I've showed you, it's a lot of rinse and repeat. It really isn't too difficult once you understand kind of the basics of the sculpting. As you've probably seen yourselves. A lot of it is just repeating the same thing over and over and over again. All right, if there's any questions, please hit me up. Other than that, thank you very much.